All right, first up, Nikola founder Trevor Milton has been charged with 3 counts of fraud. We've been talking about Trevor Milton and the company Nikola for a long time, as it's an EV startup or hydrogen/EV startup. And we had him on episode 1090. So you can go watch that original episode, or it's linked to in the show notes. But here is the CNBC quote. A federal grand jury charged Nikola founder Trevor Milton with three counts of criminal fraud for lying about nearly all aspects of the business. So he was lying about, and this was in quotes, nearly all aspects of the business to bolster stock sales of the electric vehicle startup, according to an indictment unsealed on Thursday. Milton resigned as chairman in September after fraud allegations surfaced, and our friends at Hindenburg Research dropped a bombshell report. Here is the quote from U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss from a press briefing this morning. This is a very straightforward case. Milton told lies to generate popular demand for Nikola stock, beginning at least in or about March 2020, when Nikola announced that its stock would become publicly listed. Milton became increasingly preoccupied with keeping Nikola's stock price high. That's her quote. And we saw that if you watched the episode. Nikola's stock is down another 9% today, yet somehow it's still at a $5 billion market cap. Who are the bag holders here, and what are you thinking? Even if you lost 90 cents on the dollar, that 10 cents, if you made a bet on a company that goes 10 or 20x, you could get whole and you could get maybe double your money back. All money has value. When you're losing this badly, get up from the table, take your chips, and go find another game to play in. So remember when I interviewed him back on episode 1090, Trevor was all over the place. And people asked me what my goal was there in the interview. I kind of got the sense that this could be a scam and that this guy was full of ish. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to take the approach of letting him talk. Because if something is a fraud, the more the person talks, the better the audience and myself can get an idea of, is this person legit? In other words, a criminal, a sociopath, a fraud is going to reveal themselves if you can just get them to talk. So that is what I did. And when I asked him about his product, he said that the company went public so they wouldn't develop the problems that WeWork had. That was a little bit of a weird red flag. Okay, you're describing yourself as somehow the counter to WeWork. And he was very focused on the stock price and the IPO as a product, as opposed to the product he was selling. And there were a bunch of letters of intent. There was just a lot of smoke here. And we covered his resignation on episode 1112 after fraud allegations from Hindenburg Research claimed Nikola was an ocean of lies. Here's a 1-minute clip. I'll talk to you on the other side.
Mark controls Facebook, but he has a really good, brilliant team around him that balances him. And there was never that over there. And that's what I've done here at Nikola's. We built this team, this really good balance around people that are objective. They'll tell me no. They'll tell me yes. They'll tell me whatever I need to hear, that whatever's honest, they'll tell me. And they're a great balance to me. And we've created this company now that it's over $10 billion today. By the year's end, in my opinion, I can't tell anyone where it's going to go, but I believe it'll be 3 to 4 to 5 times that. And that's a great thing about being public is as soon as you start executing your vision, it just starts going crazy. And that's where we're at. So we let the retail investors come in. You hit on this point earlier. Most people wait till it's too late for retail investors to ever get involved. We allowed retail investors to come in and they get to ride the ride with us. Now it's very volatile, but they get to ride the ride with us. And that's the advantage. It's not just big, humongous funds that are buying all your stock and they get all the upside. The regular person gets to be part of the Nikola story now. And that's a brand new model that no one's ever really done before until now.
Okay. So he's referring to SPACs and getting the company out early before it has product market fit, before it really has customers, when it has these fugazi letters of intent. And letters of intent are, for me, are just pieces of paper. They literally are worth the paper they're printed on, which I think paper costs a penny a page or something like that these days, maybe 2 cents. So it's absolutely worthless. And this is the perfect example of why you are responsible for your investments. You are responsible for doing your diligence, because he is telling you in this video, he thinks he can go 3, 4, 5x and that you get to become along for the ride and that he's doing you a favor. And all of that sounds really convincing. You listen to him talking about this Remember, founders, sociopaths, they all index for convincing people, charismatic people, serial killers, all very charismatic. And he is basically doing a real sell job there on people who are new entrants to the markets and who wanted to participate in their company. The company, which still hasn't earned any revenue from what I understand, is trying to distance itself from Trevor. Here's the quote from Nikola. Trevor Milton resigned on September 20, 2020, and has not been involved in the company's operations or communications since that time. Today's government actions are against Mr. Milton individually, not against the company. I guess they're trying to keep this boat afloat. The federal indictment states that Milton engaged in a fraudulent scheme to deceive retail investors in his own interest, which he kind of telegraphed on the show. Here's a minute 46. I'll see you on the other side. So now you've got all this cash on the balance sheet and you've got all this runway, but this building a network of hydrogen chargers and coordinating the building of hydrogen trucks and satisfying a bunch of customers seems like an awful lot of work. And then, I'm not sure exactly the date you announced it. What date did you announce that you're going to take on Ford's F-150 pickup truck and Elon Cybertruck and the Rivian? Rivian is the other. Rivian. Yep. Sorry, Rivian. So now you decide, F it, I'm going to create an F-150, the best-selling car in the United States, I think, and obviously the best-selling truck. Why would you take on more work?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So here's the reason why. Our trucks are a gravy train with money. That's where all the money comes from, is our big semi trucks, right? The problem is 90% of Americans will never own a semi truck. And so your portfolio of investors can be very limited. And we wanted to go and build a company that's going to be worth $500 trillion over, say, 10 or 15 years. And if you're limiting yourself to 10% of the market, you'll never do it.
All right. So a couple of things there. Just one on interview technique. And it's interesting to see yourself interviewing somebody who then turns out to be a fraud. And I had this guy full of it. And a lot of times I will ask a question on this show. And when you see me doing questions where it will seem like I'm confused. And in reality, I may or may not be confused. There are times when I am actually confused and I'm asking a founder, hey, explain this thing about NFTs to me, or explain to me your cryptocurrency project. I don't get it, or synthetic biology. There are things I genuinely do not know about. And when I ask a question and I say, I don't understand this, I don't. But there are sometimes I'll ask a question and it'll seem like I'm confused. And this is a specific technique I use to allow the guest to then educate me, and by extension, you, the audience, and part of this community. That's what you just saw there. I'm using a technique of saying, listen, I'm a little confused here. You're creating this business. That seems really hard. Isn't that a hard business? And then you're going to take on this other thing. It's like a lot of work. And this is Columbo. If you've ever seen Columbo, the detective, he has very basic questions, and he seems like he's a bumbling fool sometimes. That's literally the technique I'm channeling there is, can you explain this to me? And he does. And the explanation is probably going to be in this indictment, or some lawyer who winds up suing is going to pull this specific clip. Hey, everybody, Harry Hurst, yes, the co-CEO and co-founder of Pipe.com is with us, and he's going to explain to you how Pipe.com works and what a great innovation it is for startups. Many of my startups are using it. Harry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason.
So tell us, what is Pipe? And for people who don't know, it's Pipe.com. Great domain name.
Pipe's a trading platform, and we allow companies to turn their recurring revenue streams into upfront capital, and they do that by trading those recurring revenue streams with institutional investors that are on the other side of our marketplace, and they're looking to purchase the annual value of those subscription revenues. So companies can reinvest that capital into growth or whatever initiative they'd like without having to take on dilution. And you've probably seen we've been called the NASDAQ for revenue.
All right. Thanks again, Harry. And with Pipe, there's no debt, no loans, and no dilution, which is really important to me as an investor. Pipe and Harry are so confident you're going to love trading your recurring revenues that if you sign up at pipe.com/twist today, they'll eliminate all your trading fees for 1 full year. What a generous offer. This could save you tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of your business and the volume you trade. Sign up today at pipe.com/twist. Happy piping, everybody.